Okay, welcome back. Here we go. So first chapter is first impressions. So again, it's my story. I'm just going to read this to you because it's just the easiest way to go right now. So anyway, I was born in Virginia into what would have been considered an average American home. 55 years ago to be exact. Well, okay, I forgot that this is an old book, so I'm 57 today. But anyway, a couple years later, we moved to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, a suburb of Tulsa, in what is now known as the heart of the Bible Belt, just where I needed to be. Oh, and I'm going to add some commentary, by the way, because it's my book and my video, so I get to. And also, there's pictures. So if you're just listening to this in the background, I'll let you know, hey, there's some pictures here, so that if you want to come and stop and look at them, I'll post them in there just because they're classic. Anyway, as early as I can remember, we went to church on a fairly regular basis, and we were what I would consider an average Christian family, living the American dream, if you will. Small family of four: dad, mom, my older sister, and of course me. Dad had worked his way up to deacon of the church, and mom was a singer in the choir for years. From the outside looking in, we looked like we were a pretty normal American family. Both parents were working professionals, making a decent middle-class income. Me and my sister living the life of expected of kids in that era, mostly school during the week, church on the weekends, and a lot of playing with neighborhood kids. Nothing out of the ordinary. Now, don't get me wrong. I pointed out that we come from a good Christian family, but understand Christians are far from perfect. They're human just like the rest of us. And that's the misconception that we have. Just because we believe in Jesus doesn't mean that we're perfect and that we didn't have to battle temptations. My parents were no exception to the rule. They had their share of challenges, as do all marriages with kids. My parents were far from perfect Christians too. Again, one of the great deceptions of Christians, preachers, or anyone involved in the ministry face is that they are perceived as this flawless, sinless followers of Christ. And this is just not true. As the Bible states, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And that's Romans 3:22 or 23. This is why we need to be born again into perfection through the Spirit is the only part that gets redeemed, if you will. The challenge being that when we see Christians fail and fall short, it's hard to default back to judging them as hypocrites. It's just the nature of the human being as we're born into sin. This is evident by the fact that you don't have to teach a child to misbehave. You do, however, have to teach them to behave. or let them run amok, and the world will teach them the hard way. My dad worked for Philip Morris, the cigarette company, just for the record if you didn't know who that is, as a sales representative, and my mother worked as a legal secretary for a law firm in Tulsa. My sister and I attended Broken Arrow public schools during the day, and we played outside with friends in the evenings until they called us the family to dinner. And there's some pictures here, but I'll post the other ones so you can see them clear. But as children, we rely on our parents to help us and grow and understand the world we live in so that we can be the best we can be and contribute positive to a society, hopefully staying out of jail or the grave until it's our time. Now, what makes this complex is the fact that we have to rely on the education and raising of our parents and their parents before them. If they were corrupted due to bad parenting and abuse, and those traits normally carry through to the next generation. It really is fairly simple once you understand your purpose and the truth, but unfortunately there are forces against us that want us to fail. They control our minds through fear and indoctrination. I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but there are truly those that want you to live in fear, not knowing who you are and what your potential is, so that they can control you. Once you understand the truth, you will start to see that you're in a battle of good versus evil. It becomes more apparent that you need to be a warrior because there is a battle for your soul and for your livelihood. The oligarchy needs workers for their factories, not entrepreneurs that want to build and create for their own success. Know that there's nothing wrong with being a worker, going to a job, and being a success. There's zero shame in that. And I don't want you to discourage anyone in any way. I say figure out what you're good at, do what you like to do, what you enjoy doing, and if you can make a living doing that you love or even like to do, more power to you. We need police, we need fire, we need trade workers, and we need all kinds. And there's value and peace and comfort in those fields and lifestyles. I've personally had many jobs at various levels, some of which I had all at the same time, as you will see in this very book. My point is this: time is short, days are long, years fly by and then they're gone. Life is short, and eternity is a long time, like forever to be exact. Sure, you can ignore it, not believe it, but how does that solve anything? If you don't believe there's a God or a devil, you can at least agree that there are good things in this world and there are bad things. Choosing to do the right thing always works out better than choosing to do the wrong thing. I've learned this the hard way, time and time again. And what's worse is when we accept bad things as though they're okay or good, or acceptable when they're not. Again, it is human nature to seek approval, even when what we're doing is unacceptable. Where do we get our moral standards from? And why do they keep changing? Personally, I believe we get it from God. And the reason these standards seem to keep changing is because we have taken God out of the equation. The battle for your belief system started the second you took your very breath. Your own parents thought they meant well. They lied to you for your own good, of course. Let me prove it. Do you recall the lies that have been told to you by your parents? Have you ever wondered or questioned why your parents would start your childhood off lying to you? Personally, I'd rather know the truth about things. I don't care how old I am. It's just the best way to start is the truth in all things. I know you're still stuck on, my parents lied to me? Yeah, they did. They sure did. And they justified it as, it's all good fun and it's for the good of the child. But look how excited they are and hope that there will be. Look how excited they are about the hope that will later be destroyed by truth. Let me give you an example. The perfect example to understand these allegations would be the deceptions of Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny. I'm certain you've been introduced to all of them as a child, only to find out later that they were make-believe stories. Again, I believe it's part of the programming in that when someone tells you about Jesus, you will already have jumped to the conclusion that Jesus is just another make-believe. Worked well as I am or was a living example. My guess is that you fall into that same category also, or you wouldn't be reading this book. I mean, seriously, who come up with this deception and why? What's worse is that it was all a plan to move you to believe other deceptions such as the Big Bang Theory and the evolution theory, for example. So you would accept the fact that there's nothing special about you. You're just another atom in a pea soup that was just so happened to pop out from nothing. Last I checked, nothing can come from nothing. So there's that. I digress. It does make me wonder, was there a meeting and someone said, I know, let's tell our babies Santa Claus is coming tonight so that they'll be good. Only to find out later in life that Santa Claus doesn't exist and it was your parents buying these presents for you, unless you were dirt poor and then you got presents from the church or just to reinforce that there must be a Santa Claus, only to find out later that Santa Claus isn't really who they said he is. He's just some guy paid to wear a suit at the mall so your mom can get a cute picture to hang on the wall or in today's world to post on some social media site. When I see that today, I think, oh, how cute. Gotta love deception and lies to destroy your child later. I get it though. I have multiple pictures of my kids with Santa and even myself. Wait until I get to my I almost killed Santa once story. Sorry, that's what got me before I couldn't read it. But anyway, yeah, I almost killed Santa Claus once. That's a great story. Anyway, flashback. Here we go. Hang on. On track. Here we go. It's funny now because so much time has passed because I almost put a bullet through his chest, and I get to that little later in the book. Thank God that wasn't part of my purpose or my story, but Santa got lucky that night. Let me just tell you that. Anyway, if Santa wasn't enough to destroy your innocence as a child, this is why there's the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy. Though they didn't get as much attention as Santa, toss in a Bigfoot, unicorn, and then a little NASA with their trip to the moon, and you'll believe anything. Sorry, I do crack myself up. Or better yet, they don't want you to believe anything except what they tell you to believe. With everyone deceiving, and it's because my printer didn't work, and so I barely can see what it says. With everything deceiving you about all of these fairy tales, why would you believe in the story of Jesus? It's just another fairy tale, right? Only difference is, at least when Jesus spoke, he started off most of the time, every line with, I'm telling you the truth. Doesn't mean that he was. I believe he was. Funny thing though, he is telling the truth. I'm curious though, have you ever seen a child's face at the very moment that they found out the truth about Santa Claus? I have, and it's heartbreaking to say the least. It's always some stranger, or even worse, an older relative that slips and says, "You don't still believe in Santa Claus, do you?" And funny how the parent will quickly try to restore hope in the fantasy through some reassurance that they've been lying to you about these fairy tales, but the damage is already done. I mean, really, who come up with this genius deception? And more importantly, why did they come up with this? We'll address that later, but I'm certain that you have at least experienced these few examples, and I could go on and on with additional references, but you get my point. So before we go any further, I want to state clearly that I hold nothing against my mother or father for what I am about to tell you, and I have or had great relationships with them both, and I love them and their spouses unconditionally. Let me do one more page, or at least finish this. And I have a proven track record that I'd do anything in the world for anyone. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. We'll break it down. I'm just going to do, like I said, little segments. And I don't know, how long will we go here? Yeah, that's about right. 15 minutes, give or take. Anyway, it gets better, but unfortunately I got to go get some more ink because my printer this is the devil. See, this is how you know there's evil in this world, because you're going to mess up my printer like I'm trying to get all this stuff done. I see you, devil. It's all right. I mean, I guess I could read it from the screen over there digitally. But anyway, thank you, Lord. Oh, by the way, see that symbol behind me? You remember I was telling you it's my praise and worship? Hallelujah. Mother pointed out, she goes, that looks like the Batman building in Nashville. And I was like, Batman? You know, it's funny because the Lord told me to look that spirit up, because I was like, I wonder if that's evil. But go look it up. Just hit voice on Google and go, what is the Batman spirit? And it'll come back with some interesting stuff on it. But it's basically saying how he's the shadow work of traumatized beings. Anyway, it's pretty neat, I thought. Anyway, I hope this finds you well and that you're blessed and highly favored. Get you some Jesus. Go look for him if you would. He's looking for you.